She walked into court expecting to explain a few parking tickets, but within minutes, the judge was reading out more than she came prepared for. 2 red light violations, a speeding ticket, and a stack of parking fines that had grown into hundreds of dollars. For Ms. Rodriguez, it wasn't just about tickets anymore. It was about a year that had quietly fallen apart. Illness, missed work, money problems, and one car parked a few inches too far onto a sidewalk. And now, she had to convince the court that behind every violation, there was a story. Inside the courtroom in Providence, Miss Rodriguez stood before Judge Frank Caprio, nervous but composed. The judge looked down at the paperwork in front of him and read her name.
Rodriguez.
Ms. Rodriguez, he said, pausing as he scanned the record. You have 2 red light violations and 1 speeding violation. She looked surprised. That was not why she thought she was there. The judge continued, asking if she remembered the red light tickets. One on Chalkstone Avenue, another on North Main Street. Ms. Rodriguez shook her head slightly and explained that she had come mainly because of parking violations. That was the problem weighing on her. That was the part of her life she had been trying to explain. So the judge gave her the chance. She began by describing how it all started when she had just moved into a new place. The landlord had told her there would be parking available, and at first, she trusted that everything would work out. But the house was crowded. Cars had to be squeezed into the driveway, one behind another, and sometimes the setup was messy. One night, after she had just gotten home, she heard a car pull up outside. Curious, she looked out and saw a police officer writing a ticket. At first, she thought the officer was ticketing her landlord's car, which had been parked on the street. But instead, the officer walked past that car and came straight toward hers. Her car, she admitted, was slightly over the sidewalk. That small mistake became a $100 ticket.
To Miss Rodriguez, it felt personal. Her car had Connecticut plates, and she believed she was being singled out because she was from out of state. She said the same officer had been responsible for most of the tickets, and each time it seemed like he went directly to her car.
And so are you still living at that same location?
Yeah, so...
Have you resolved the parking issue?
Yeah, all of my roommates that lived on the floor with me moved out, so...
Judge Caprio listened, then asked if she still lived at that same address. She said yes, but the parking problem had finally improved. The roommates who used to live on her floor had moved out, so now there was more space. But the damage had already been done. She explained that when she first moved in, she couldn't afford a parking pad.
There were too many expenses all at once. Rent, moving costs, bills, and everything that comes with starting over in a new place. Then the year became even harder. The judge asked what she did for work.
What do you do for work?
I'm a waitress.
I'm a waitress, she said.
She worked at Genko Itetsu on Thayer Street. But that year, she had missed nearly 3 months of work. First, she got COVID. Then she had problems with her ovaries. And after that, she ended up on crutches because of a spider bite. The judge looked up.
Swollen.
Spider bite?
Yeah, it was a brown recluse.
Yeah. Where'd you get that?
Warwick.
In Warwick?
Yeah.
A spider bite? She nodded. It had been a brown recluse. She had been in Warwick for one night, and the next morning she noticed a bite on her ankle. At first, she didn't know what it was. She waited, hoping it would go away. But over time, it became infected, and her leg swelled badly. Looking back, she admitted she probably should have gone to a doctor sooner. But at the time, she didn't realize how serious it was becoming. She told the judge that normally, she would simply pay her tickets and move on. She wasn't someone who came to court making excuses. But this year had been different. Too much had happened at once, and the fines had become difficult to handle. Judge Caprio then turned to Inspector Kerrigan from the Providence Police Department and asked a direct question. Did Providence Police have a habit of targeting cars with out-of-state plates?
Carrigan, is it a practice of the Providence Police Department to target out-of-state registrations and tagging cars?
No.
You said the police officer targeted you, right?
The inspector answered firmly, no. The judge turned back to Miss Rodriguez. She had said she felt targeted, but the inspector pointed out the reason her car was ticketed. She was the only one parked on the sidewalk. Miss Rodriguez still felt the situation was unfair. Her landlord's car had been on the street, other people parked there too. But the officer, in her eyes, always seemed to choose her vehicle. Still, the law was clear. Sidewalk parking was a violation. Judge Caprio looked at the total amount she owed. The charges had climbed to more than $400, a painful amount for someone who had missed work, dealt with illness, and was just trying to keep her life together. But this courtroom was not only about punishment. It was about understanding the person standing in front of the bench. The judge reduced the amount. Instead of making her pay the full total, he cut it down significantly, telling her the charge would be $210.
Then, with a gentle smile, he added, "I didn't target you today."
Miss Rodriguez laughed, relieved by the kindness in the room. She thanked him and said she would be careful because she did not want any more tickets. It had already been a lot of money.
Your charges were over 400, so we cut them in half.
Thank you.
So you had a good night.
Okay.
Before she left, the judge reminded her that her original charges had been over $400, and the court had cut them in half. She accepted it gratefully and walked out with a lighter burden than the one she carried in. Sometimes justice is not only about what the law says, it is also about seeing the struggle behind the mistake. If you were the judge, would you have shown her the same mercy?